We have Dr. Kenneth Wright. He's running for Congress in the 33rd District. I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Wright. I had the opportunity to meet him while I was campaigning for United States Senate. An incredible individual. He's doing really good work. But I want to share with you a little bit about his background, and then we'll talk about his race. But right now, I'm going to read from his website. I mean, there's so much about him. I really had to dial in. So I'm just going to read you the pertinent information. And you guys can go to his website later and take a look. But his website says Dr. Wright is a pediatric eye surgeon and grew up in the South Bay, graduating from South Torrance High School and California Lutheran University. He finished his surgical training at Johns Hopkins University. Dr. Wright says, quote, "As a father, I helped raise 5 children in and around the South Bay. I still enjoy surfing at Torrance Beach." He's a family man. He loves California. He wants to do good work for Californians. That's what it comes down to. And he's a patriot. He also says he is fortunate to have a wonderful career and have treated patients from all walks of life. He says he started a foundation to improve children's eye care at a clinic in Los Angeles for underprivileged children, where he never turns a child away. Never, it says. He authored the major textbooks in his field and published over 100 scientific articles. In 2015, he was invited as a guest of honor lecturer at Harvard University and Boston Children's Hospital. He's participated in numerous international lectures, medical and surgical missions worldwide, including the Middle East, Asia, Latin America, and Africa. Recently, he received a Service Medal of Honor from the President of Panama for over 20 years of service to Panamanian children. Further, he goes on to explain, and I quote, "I have dedicated my life to the care and well-being of others. As I reflect both inward and outward, I feel compelled to broaden my social service efforts. There is a real need for honest and forthright citizen leadership in our government. As such, I decided to run for U.S. Congress. I love America, and I sincerely want to do the best for our country." Well, Dr. Wright, we are honored to have you tonight here on the Erin Cruz Show. In addition, we are honored to have you jumping in feet first into a dirty swamp of corrupt politicians, and to do so in a way which will bring back dignity and process and true representation for the people in your district and the constituents there. Thank you for coming on the show.
Wow, what a very nice introduction. Thank you, Erin. I think
we're honored. I mean, really.
A lot of that writing all the books and stuff just shows how much free time I had and basically no life. So,
well, a commitment as well. You
right.
had a commitment to your work, and there's something honorable there. There really is.
Well, you hit it on the head. I mean, I was all in to my profession. Love it. Still do it. I have 5 surgeries tomorrow. But in a way, I was wrong. And I think a lot of citizens are wrong. In that I felt other people were going to take care of leading the country, leading California. And what I've learned is that if the good people don't step up, the bad people do.
Right.
And if you look at the swamp, that's what's happened.
Right,
so like
and we
yourself,
generalize with the swamp, but really it's a sewer. And like you say, if the good people don't stand up and stand firm, those other individuals will certainly come in and take advantage.
That's what's happened.
Yes.
And so these career politicians, that's all they've ever done is do politics. And not all career politicians are bad. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying is that if it's totally their career and they're on the take and they pander to the power groups with money, they don't work for the people anymore. They don't work for what's good for America. And if you look, that's really what's happened.
Right. A shift of, instead of for the people, by the people, it's for themselves, by themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. for those people who don't know, tell us who you're running against. I mean, this is just amazing to me, and you're doing really well, by the way.
Well, we're running against Ted Lieu, and Ted's a guy who's one of those career politicians. He was a council member in Torrance, and then he was on the state assembly, and then the state senate, and now it's his second term as a congressman. And he's really not addressed the issues of his district, which is includes Santa Monica Venice, where our homeless situation is out of control.
Right.
And they have absolutely no answer.
Right. They aren't looking to solutions. They really aren't. I mean, even on a federal level, working with the states and making sure that our federal tax dollars are spent well and what have you. I mean, there are some really big problems throughout California, and these career politicians, they're not serving the people. And the people include those homeless.
Nope. And they get this whole new deal now, no money bail, which is at the federal level. He submitted 2 bills, no money bail. So criminals don't have to post bail. It's crazy. And now they do it at the state level. It's the far left Democrat agenda, which includes being so soft on crime. Now in Santa Monica, Venice, Beverly Hills, home invasions have gone up through the roof. And there's
no repercussions for bad behavior and for crime and for breaking the law.
Absolutely. So, if you look at the Democratic agenda, it's really weak. I mean, weak on crime. They don't want tax cuts, which really help the economy. They don't want tax cuts. They're against straws, but other plastics are fine. How do they pick out straws? They're idiots. I mean, their agenda is horrible. And I think the worst thing is this open borders socialism kick that they're on right now. I mean,
Medicare for all.
Medicare for all. And then my opponent, Ted Lieu, has joined the caucus for Medicare for all, which is just a nice way of saying socialized medicine, which means that you are not going to pick your doctor, that our cost to do socialized medicine is going to be through the roof, and our quality's way down, and now you don't have choice.
The government would be in control
horrible.
of literally every aspect of your life. That's what we've seen in the UK. That's what we've seen in Canada. You go from having options to having literally no competition, and costs skyrocket. Government breeds more government, which breeds more government. And
absolutely.
And the way they palette is Medicare for all. It's great. Everybody will receive health care. It hasn't worked at the VA. Definitely, government hasn't worked well with the DMV.
It's been horrible at the VA.
Right.
Yeah, horrible at the VA.
So now, where do you stand? Because you are a doctor. What are some solutions that work that will drive costs down?
Right. Well, this idea of if you're going to have private practice and free market, you need competition. Otherwise, you're going to have monopoly and prices go up. So what's happened is really that the insurance companies have developed a monopoly. And you say, well, how did that happen? Don't we have antitrust laws? Yes, we do, but there are 2 industries in America which are exempt from antitrust laws. Do you know what those are? Number 1, Major League Baseball, and number 2, the insurance company. And they did it through the McCarran-Ferguson Act. McCarran-Ferguson Act. McCarran is, if you ever go to Las Vegas, McCarran Airport, he was a congressman in Nevada for years, and they passed a law that exempts insurance companies from most antitrust law. So they can collude and they can price fix. And that's what they do.
So we need price tax. That's what we need. Competition and price tax, yes?
We need to repeal the McCarran-Ferguson Act so that insurance companies cannot collude and price fix. That's what they do. And they do it 2 ways. They do it for the patient, and that's why the premiums are all fixed and they're very high. That's why your deductibles are so high. Our deductibles here are over $8,000-$10,000 for a healthy family. They never even use their insurance. They're always paying out of pocket. And the other way they do it is the doctors. So the young doctors, they want to have any patients, they got to join these insurance companies to get patients, and they fix what they pay the doctors. And now they pay the doctors very little.
Right.
So the insurance companies have it rigged.
Right.
And so the first step is to have real competition, and that means the McCarran-Ferguson Act first of all, people have to know about it.
Right.
It's cheating on the insurance company side.
Right.
Now, what about poor people? They're getting taken care of. Medicare, which is Medicaid, which is in California Medi-Cal.
Right.
It takes care of poor people. Then they have a second tier. It's called
We
the
have
county system. I worked at LA County
Right.
Hospital. We have programs. This is a big lie that they don't have programs.
So now, if
what
we
I really
enforced, if we have these programs already, and we enforce the issues with fraud to cut back some of the bleeding
Right.
there, we'd be able to help the people who need the help. Correct?
Absolutely.
Right.
We have the services. The big lie there are several lies that Obama made, but President Obama looked into the camera and said, with Obamacare, we're going to take care of 3 million people that don't have insurance. Well, those 3 million people, many of them didn't want insurance because they have backup. Every emergency room will take you, no matter what,
Right.
by law. You didn't see dead people before Obamacare in the streets? No. In fact, the life expectancy was actually better before Obamacare. So there was a big lie. You can keep your doctor. Remember, he said with Obamacare,
Right.
your prices are going to go, your premiums are going to go down, and you can keep your insurance. Well, the complete lies. And this other lie was that people weren't getting care. They were getting care, and they're getting care without Obamacare. So here's the deal. We have right now in the United States a great system of medicine. We have the highest level of medicine in the world. What's killing us is that these insurance companies are cheating us. And we
Right.
need to have real competition, and that's not going to occur until they are forced to use the same laws that everybody else, and they're not exempt from the antitrust law.
Right. So you're saying the first step is exposing this piece of legislation and
Absolutely.
getting it in front of the individuals who can make that difference. Literally getting Congress to say, "Hey, this is a problem. We need to fix this." What do you also say then about? I talked to one specialist, an economist. He was a doctor, but he was PhD versus MD. But one of his perspectives was that price tags were also a solution, that a lot of people don't know what the cost is. So if
Right.
you expose
Well,
the
there's a
insurance
problem with that.
companies and you also then share with
Right.
people what things
I've heard that.
cost,
Right.
that will alleviate
Well,
some...
there's a problem with putting price tags on medicine. I'll tell you what. If you take your car to the garage to have it fixed, some noise is bugging you about your car, correct?
Get an estimate.
They're going to get an estimate, and they're going to say, we're going to call you back when we know more.
Right.
Same thing when a patient comes to me. They have a headache. Now, I don't know if it's just a stress headache or they have a brain tumor.
Right.
I've got to figure it out. So I may have to do an MRI scan. I may have to do blood work. I may have to get a referral to an internist to see if maybe they have high blood pressure and hypercholesterolemia. My point is, medicine is not like buying a stereo.
Right. Right.
It's very,
but
very different.
Wouldn't you agree, though, that there could be a lot more transparency in terms of what people go in for in receiving care and understanding what it might cost? Because,
Well,
you know...
the problem, Erin, is that the insurance companies, you don't know how much they're going to reimburse.
Right.
So you go to that MRI scan, and they may deny it, saying, well, we don't think it was justified for a headache.
Right.
So now you're stuck with the whole bill for the MRI scan. So you're right. You don't know, and it's tough. Medicine's not easy. It's complex.
It's not. It's very. That's why they call it a practice, right? Not a perfect.
Exactly.
But really, when I go to the doctor, and I say, well, I need to have this done, and they say, okay, well, your cost on this is not a copayment. It's 20% of the contract rate for that, whatever that is. And then they have to say, but we have to submit it to the insurance because it's all about
Right.
code and it's all about all of these sorts of things. But it would be good if I knew before I actually, and it's complex, because what if I need that done right away?
Right.
But also too, I mean, this medical coverage, because it's gotten so outrageous and so expensive, it's bled families dry. So I do think
Absolutely.
we need comprehensive solutions, and I don't think any one thing, except for maybe what you're proposing, which is very interesting about this piece of legislation, is a quick fix necessarily. It's going to take a lot of different things. What do you think about competition across, and buying and selling across state lines for the insurance?
I think it's fine, but it's not going to solve the problem, because
Right.
the fundamental problem is they're exempt of antitrust law, and they collude in price fix. I mean, it's crazy.
So that's
How
the
about
bigger
our drugs?
issue.
Our drugs are so expensive. You know why? There's a middleman in America who's exempt from kickback laws. They don't have that in Canada. So if you are the manufacturer of a drug, let's say propranolol to lower blood pressure, and I'm CVS, you can't directly sell it to me. You go through this intermediary, and you actually give them money to take your product, and I take money to buy it. It's a kickback scheme. The thing is so rigged. It is so rigged. President
It's
Trump's
a complete
exactly right.
disservice to the American people.
Absolutely. Another thing which people don't realize is that the FDA has become a tool of big pharma.
That was what I was going to ask you about the FDA and
Yeah.
all of their schemes, because certain people I know and who have worked in different industries relating to the healthcare field, they're working on patents, or they're working with this or that, and the struggle to get patents all the way through with the FDA. I mean, it's a racket. We have
a racket.
real
So what
solutions.
happens is that there's actually a law that says if you're going to manufacture a generic, you have less of an FDA burden. But the truth is, if you and I want to manufacture some eye ointment, and it's already on patent, it's already FDA approved, we still have to spend $1 million, $2 million to get it through the FDA again. So it really discourages small companies from bringing out generic drugs, which means that it stops competition. So it's another way that that you're increasing prices because you're limiting real competition.
Right.
And
regulations are costly.
Overregulated.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, they're taxed before you get to anywhere, even produce a product.
But if I was congressman,
when you're
I
a
would
congressman.
Well, people always say that, but
I know you don't want to be presumptuous, but we need to get to that luau.
So, well, I would make it so publicized. I would take the cat out of the bag. Let people know what was going on, that they're ripping us off, and it would.
Well, you're telling them right
issue.
now. We're being ripped off. The American people are being ripped off by the insurance companies, the FDA, and the FDA is supposed to work for us, really. And other organizations. I think that we just have to, we meaning myself included, be better at helping you get out that message.
I'm going to ask you why didn't the congressman repeal this McCarran-Ferguson Act? And it's very clear.
Money.
2 Republicans a few years ago tried. They got squashed like a bug because both the Republican and Democrat Congress people are all paid by the insurance company.
Mm-hmm. Money, power, and control.
So here's the deal. Some people have come up to me and said, Dr. Wright, we can help you, but we want some favors. And I point my finger right in their nose. I said, listen, you SOB, I don't take bribes, and I don't do quid pro quo. So, I promise, and I mean that. I'm not in this for any other thing than I love America, and I would never take money to sway my position, and I would not take money from lobbyists. I'm never going to take it. I think it's wrong.
Right.
We shouldn't allow anybody to take money from lobbyists. It's a bribe.
You're bringing up another important thing, okay? And a lot of people didn't talk about this surrounding Obamacare. I saw it and I was concerned. I voiced my opinion, but I'm a small voice compared to the mighty MSM. But the reality is this: Congress didn't just come up with this, 20-inch stack of, it's bigger than that, thousands and thousands upon thousands of pages of legal documents. Lobbyists did. When they needed different things done, the lobbyists help. All of these attorneys, these big firms, and all these mighty powers, they're the ones that do this. The influence is vast. And that's another component. And they're not serving the American people. They're serving their own interests. And that's a concern. So you're telling me, and I'm understanding this correctly, you're not supportive of lobbyists then, in the big lobby.
No, and there's an analogy, Erin. I'm a physician for many years. In the old days, the drug reps, the drug salespeople would try to get you to prescribe their drugs, right?
Right.
So they would take you on a cruise, or you'd go to Hawaii on a golf deal to try to get your favor.
Right.
Well, now they've gone really, really, really against this. There's regulations now. The drug companies can't even give you a fountain pen. Well, if that's true for the doctors, why isn't it true for the politicians?
Right.
Why should they be given money?
Right.
Exactly. They actually give money. It's a bribe. Now, if they want to consult and say, our group wants this because of these reasons, that's fine, but you don't give the congressman money. But you don't give their campaign money.
Right. But there's a lot of that going on.
I can't believe it.
There's a lot of that going on.
It should be illegal.
And in fact, it goes beyond the lobby. It goes to, this is an interesting thought, is that when we talk about the lobbyists and the money, transferring hands to the congresspersons, we have lots of disclosures that the congresspersons have to submit, and financial disclosures, and they all seem to be squeaky clean, but they all seem to be getting rich.
Yeah.
Where's the transparency? Where's the accountability? Fine that they make $200,000 a year for doing a lot of work, traveling. It's very stressful.
It's not
right, but just under with benefits. But I think that it's something that you have to look at, and you have to say, okay, that's a handsome paycheck for hopefully not 20 years like we're seeing right now, but here's the deal. They're all becoming millionaires.
Right. Where's that money coming from?
When does it end? Where does it end? And who's going to stop it? And that's why I'm so glad patriots like you are running for office, because you care about this country. You care about the constituents, your constituents, and that matters. And I can't vote for you, but every decision that you make or that Ted Lieu makes impacts my life up there in D.C. So it matters.
Absolutely.
And it matters a great deal. Where do you stand on immigration reform?
Right. Well,
I know I'm shifting gears a little bit, but
right. No, that's a good one. I like that one. Look, fundamental to a country is to have borders.
Right.
We cannot have open borders, which my opponent Ted Lieu wants. I mean, basically the line on almost all the Democrats is they don't want to enforce the border.
Right.
So imagine you could just have millions of people coming across, wading down this country, just changing the whole culture of this country, and not only the expense of it, and not only the danger of having drug people and everything. So I say you have to secure the border. So what's the best way to do that? Well, it works very well in Israel. It's a wall. So I am for wall, at least partial wall, in those areas where it makes sense, areas where maybe the geographics are such we don't need a wall, fine. But we need to secure the border. That's number one. If you don't secure the border, you don't have immigration policy. Okay.
Yeah, I had one more quick thing.
Let me just say this, Erin. Okay. If you don't secure the border, you cannot. There is no such thing as immigration policy.
Mm-hmm. No borders.
It's the best swimmer over the Rio Grande. It's the best swimmer over the Rio Grande, and they get across.
Right. And you're bringing up a good point. Is the different terrain around the border region. Technology is a big, underused, under-facilitated resource that we have, especially nowadays. And then, of course, manpower. But in some of those areas like the Rio Grande, it's difficult to get the manpower in there. But with technology, we could really, really make strides. So I do think it's a balance.
So number one is secure the border.
Yes.
And there's experts that can do that. Number two, what do we do about the people that are here contributing? Well, I think for almost 50 years, we allowed people to come over the southern border because we didn't want to do the jobs in the fields and the homes. And frankly, we allowed them to come. And I lived it, Chavez and so forth. We wanted them to come to work in the fields. We wanted them to come.
Well, we
and
have
do jobs
visas
we
for
didn't
that.
want to do.
Too.
I'm just saying that over 50 years, we allowed people to come. So now they've integrated into our society, and there's something called an implied contract in law, which means it's a contract without verbal or written agreement. It's a contract by action. And by action, we allowed them to stay here. So I don't think we should kick out all law-abiding people who came here, and we allowed them to stay. I think we should have no more. We should obviously secure the border. So those people who have been law-abiding and been here for, let's say, 5 years or more, they can register as a citizen, not a citizen. They can register as a resident, pay taxes, not receive the welfare. Not
so cut off the bennies and the cookies and the candy and the housing and the subsidies.
Knock it off, and then they can get behind the line. Get behind the line and not cut, and they can work their way to citizenship if they want. And there should be a finite time for them to register as a resident. If after 6 months they don't register and they're found, they have to leave. We need to know who's in the country.
I think that's an interesting actual component that you just mentioned there. Good communication, information, transparency, allow for opportunities. But again, if they don't comply for whatever reason, we have to enforce the laws. But the process,
Absolutely.
a clear process for people to be able to be checked out. That's another thing I've talked to another congressional candidate about is we don't know who's here. So we may have somebody who's working in the field who wants to be a part of, for example, what you had just stated, and they go and they register and they become a resident, and then they go through the process. They may not have a criminal record. The next guy or gal might. And we need to know who's here.
Absolutely.
And that's important for the safety
Absolutely.
of the country and the integrity of our borders and the future generations and other legal immigrants
Absolutely.
who want to come here. So that's
By
an
the way,
interesting thought.
By the way, my opponent, he's all for sanctuary cities. Anytime there's a vote on the national level to get rid of sanctuary cities, he's against getting rid of them. He is pro-sanctuary cities.
Wow.
To me, this is absolutely unbelievable.
Wow.
Because if you are convicted of a crime, you have no business staying in our country. You're here illegally in the first place. Then you commit a crime, they have to be out, expelled. So the sanctuary city thing is wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
Yes, and I agree. And it's taxpayer money to house them, to feed them, to give them medical care when they shouldn't even be here in the first place. So yes, I agree with that. So now, where do you stand in contrast to your opponent on? I know this is also kind of a sensitive issue, but I think it's important. I'm kind of, staggering here a little bit with this because it is such a hot topic. Where do you stand in contrast to Ted Lieu on the issue of transgender medical treatments? Because I think that he has gone full blast and completely tried to drive people apart and blow, and I know he hasn't talked about it recently, but blow the American people apart and alienate people who are gay or lesbian, and in saying that Republicans don't care about them. And he's used the different things for leverage, but this is one that I think is important. And you're a physician.
Correct.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm asking you.
That there are a great number of gay people who are conservative and Republicans. And the Log Cabin Republicans, it's a national group, and the local group in West Hollywood actually endorsed me, and they had me speak at one of their events. I believe strongly in, as a conservative, in individual freedom. I mean, that is the basis and what makes our country different from any other country in the world is how much individual freedom and the importance of individual freedom. You don't ever hear Ted Lieu talking about the importance of individual freedom. You hear talking about transgender, gay rights.
Right, all of the hot
Individual
tickets.
freedom is very, very important, and it goes both ways. So here's what I think: if somebody wants to be transgender, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's physiologic. But if they really want to do that, I don't think there should be a law against it. But I don't think I should be forced to pay for it.
Now, reassignment
So
surgery, if it's chromosome and there was a basis for a need of adjustment, I personally, there are situations where it could be very well justified that this, an individual needs care. But some of these things that Ted Lieu and other individuals like him are using to divide us are just so off base. So you're in support of if you decide that this is a choice you want to make, fund it yourself.
I think you should fund it yourself. Now, if there's a physiologic reason, like a hermaphrodite who has a real chromosomal or endocrine problem, then it would cover on a covered service in terms of Medi-Cal or Medicare. But if it is particularly your option, and it's not on a chromosomal or endocrine basis, it's just like plastic surgery. Medicare doesn't cover facelift. So,
but they want Medicare, Medi-Cal, the military, everybody to cover all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So
I'm not in favor of that.
So
I can tell you that there's an option for people, and that's the LA County system, at least in Los Angeles County. When I was a resident, we used to do facial plastic surgery on people so we could practice, and we would do it for free. So, the LA County is a great facility. So if somebody would want a sex change operation, there probably are other options, but if they really couldn't afford it. But I'm for Erin. I'm for individual freedom.
Right.
And as long as it's not, what you're doing is not illegal or hurting somebody else, then I don't think when in doubt, I'm for individual freedom. I want to make that clear.
Right. Which I'm glad you are in making a distinction. My thing is that in the interview, understanding that on a federal level, people shouldn't be forced to pay for something that's unnecessary. And certainly for those individuals where it's found to be deemed necessary, I would fully respect that medical professional be able to make that determination, right?
Absolutely.
Between the doctor and the
Erin,
patient.
We're right on. I agree with you 1,000%. And to me, it's just logical. It's just rational and logical.
And it's also a way that these politicians are able to drive wedges in between entire groups of people and take the humanity out of the fact that, we're all people. We all want good things, and they distort it and manipulate it. And I know that was a tough question in terms of some of the people listening. They may wonder, why did she ask that? Well, here's the thing. We need to talk about the issues. There are a lot of problems that need strong solutions. And Dr. Wright, I really am so grateful that you joined us tonight to talk about those solutions, because they're there. The left is full of lies.
No, they're there. And the truth is, like the inner city problem, they've just been giving food stamps and a measly small handout expecting a change, and it's just gotten worse. We got to go in the inner city with education, opportunity, and security. So a young teenager going to high school, they don't have to join a gang or get beat up or killed. Right now, the gangs run those areas. That's wrong in America. That's absolutely wrong anywhere.
Right.
And what have the Democrats been doing for 50 years in their control of the state? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the truth is, let's just give them more food stamps. That's not the answer. The answer is changing them, and you say, it can't be done. Absolutely. Father Greg, with the Homeboy Industries, they take gang members and they rehabilitate them, and they love, and they so loyal to Father Greg and the Homeboy Industries. It is doable if you have the heart, the will, and to do the right thing, which is much more difficult than just turning your back and handing out food stamps.
Right.
So I am so upset with the Democrats. They're not good for America. They're not good for California. We need to let people know that Republicans want change for the underprivileged. for the people that are struggling, but it's not the way the Democrats, they want to enslave them with dependency.
Well, and part of that is government rule, government programs, government breeds more government. I think, what I'm hearing more and more, and what I'm in my research, and obviously in my race when I was talking with so many constituents, nonprofits play a large role in serving the population. Government is another government program is not the answer. And as you've seen probably in the medical industry, nonprofits do have a place, and that they have that status for a reason, and they can do a lot more with volunteers.
Absolutely.
And I believe that people like you in office in Congress will help us as a nation in California and your constituency really realize that powerful tool. And maximize the use of this arm, because it can help the homeless so much, a lot of the mentally ill, and in other areas, gangs, like you mentioned, some of these other programs. There are so many out there. It's just all about getting government to work with them better, smarter.
Erin, we have a plan. I have a plan for the homeless situation, and I call it the township option. And I want to take Fort Ord, which is vacant and run down, and turn it into a township for those people who can't make it in mainstream society. I call it the township option. Right now, we cannot enforce our vagrancy laws because the courts have ruled that there's no place to go, so you have to leave them on the street. So I want a huge facility, so the police can then go to somebody who's homeless and say, "Listen, I have a place for you to go. Either you find a friend or a family member, you find a shelter, because we have a place for you to go as the township."
Well, they have halfway houses. They have all sorts of programs. And when we have vacant facilities...
No. But the problem is every one of those facilities is a temporary solution. They have to be out in the day. They can come back at night. They can only be there for 3 weeks. Even the newest ones is like 6 months, and then they have to leave. The township, because look at least 1/3 of the people who are homeless have mental illness. They're never going to be able to make it. Now, we used to have Camarillo State Hospital up in Camarillo, past Thousand Oaks. We used to have, poor houses or whatever for people.
Right.
They need care forever. So I'm saying let's have a place where they're going to get meals. We'll give them a job to do, a structured environment.
Right.
And the other thing is that what they're doing now in Venice,
something similar in Austin.
But they're doing these like 10-unit places for homeless people right next to where people have spent $1 million for their house. That's not fair. And they said they try to shame them by saying, "Well, you guys say not in my backyard." And I say to the property owners and the people who are renting and going to work every day, they don't deserve to have it in their backyard. They don't deserve to have a homeless shelter right next to the house. They just are working 2 jobs to pay the mortgage. So I'm saying you do it in a remote place and do it large, and you can have domestic Peace Corps volunteers to help run it, and you do it, as you said, through a nonprofit with government sponsorship.
Right.
But
you can even have a private sponsorship as well. I just see it as they do better. Nonprofits can do it more frugally, and they can do it better.
Absolutely.
And smarter.
Absolutely. They're going to be careful with the money. Absolutely.
Right. It does. We need to have stronger partnerships. That's an interesting perspective there, Dr. Wright. Now, we're getting close to the end of the interview. I really want people to connect, learn more about your platform, learn more about some of these different ideas and perspectives that you have, and solutions, really, that you've come up with. Can you share with us that where that people can go? Your website?
Sure. It's pretty easy, Erin. It's drwrightforcongress.com. That's drwright, WRIGHT, 4 congress.com. So that's drwrightforcongress.com, and you can go on the website, and we have I have a section called Wright versus Lou. And so I list what
not
his
right
voting
versus
record
wrong?
and what he's done. Yeah, well, you can take that implication, but it's Wright versus Lou, and I list what he's done, and I don't embellish. It's just exactly what I would do, so you can make your choice who you want to vote for. If you go on his website, all you see is climate change is the biggest problem we're going to have, and he says nothing about what he really has done or what he wants to do. So, yeah, drwrightforcongress.com is our website.
Well, I would like to encourage people right now to go ahead and take a look at his website. I'll also put the information down below. Really, Dr. Wright needs your support. Even if you're a Democrat, a Libertarian, Independent, take a look. We need strong leadership. And Dr. Wright, I've known him for some time. He is a man of, strong moral character. If you have a question for him, send it to him. He'll answer you. If you can't find it on the website, absolutely he'll answer you. And, give him the chance, give him the opportunity. Ted Lieu is not serving California, not serving the Republic. So God bless you. Take care, Dr. Wright. Please stay safe out there, and give our regards to your family, please.
Thank you for having me, Erin. You're doing a real service to America by having this show. Thanks so much.
I'm really trying. So together, I know we will win in 2018 and beyond. So
to hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com.